Gladson Johnson spent his early childhood in Bahrain, a happy, vibrant life where his parents worked as healthcare professionals. But everything changed in 1990 when the Gulf War broke out. His family had to leave overnight, returning to a small village near Kanyakumari, a world away from everything he had known. In the village, kids ran barefoot, climbed trees, and swam in rivers. Gladson and his sister were the only ones wearing shoes, and that made them targets. Mocked for being different, bullied for being physically weak, and taunted with a question he would never forget. Why do you wear shoes? The trauma led to anxiety, isolation, and eventually asthma. But that wasn't the end of the story. It was just the beginning. While pursuing his bachelor's in physiotherapy, Gladson made a bold choice to fight back. Not with anger, but with strength. He joined a martial arts class. Barely lasted 5 minutes on day one, but never stopped showing up. He trained under Master Swaminathan Bhaskar in Kyokushin karate, one of the world's toughest martial arts. It transformed his body and his life. From there, running found him. What started as a single skate lab turned into 25 marathons, 3 ultramarathons up to 110 kilometers, and 3 triathlons. And here's the full circle. 24 of those 25 marathons were barefoot. The boy once mocked for wearing shoes now conquers trails without them. He found the Raramuri Running Club, launched the Trot, a running race now in its 12th edition, and changed the life of HIV-infected children, 50 of whom now run 10Ks in 35 minutes and coach 600 more kids. Through Fitmasters, a 100-day strength program, Gladson has touched lives across 5 continents, empowering people to move and to believe in movement. He lives by one principle: role modelism. Be the change you want to see. From bullied to barefoot, from asthma to ultra, Dr. Gladson Johnson is on a mission to make 10 million people fit. Be the change. Be athlete.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Intentionality. You just saw or listened to the story of the doctor, which is pretty much like a Karate Kid story. And we have the doctor with us now. Welcome, doctor.
Good evening. Thank you so much for inviting me for this podcast.
Thank you for being on the pod. So you grew up in Bahrain, which is a cosmopolitan area. That was in early 80s.
Early 80s, yes.
So tell us about your life there. How was it?
That was the beginning of my life. I was brought up in Bahrain because both my parents were healthcare professionals and their career was there. So as far as I can remember that part of childhood, it was happy. I was in a cosmopolitan culture out there. We were used to children of various age groups and multilinguistic groups, different colors, different races. Okay, it was an international school. So life was full of colors. It was, all I could remember is happiness.
Yeah.
And I don't think so I had any complaints out there. That was how life was. It was in its full gear.
Did you play any sports there while you were there?
I was a very active kid, by the way. And I don't remember I particularly played any sports, but I was very active in the PT period. Any group games, I was very much involved, especially football. And anything to do with running, I was very much involved out there.
Oh, nice.
So, but I don't remember I'm competing against any schools or something like that. That culture has not yet begun.
Okay.
PT was there just to keep the children engaged. Okay, so I don't remember competing against another school or something like that. No.
Got it.
But it was very, very healthy relationship around. And I almost thought this is how the whole world is going to be like.
But all that changed.
All that changed dramatically overnight.
So what happened during Gulf War?
So during the early 90s, that's when you all know the Gulf War started and my parents decided to leave that place. And shortly after we left that place and we came to India, the entire place where we lived was bombed.
Oh.
So we got to hear those things, that where we lived, where we stayed and all are just on ground level now.
So it was a good move to...
It was a good move. But back then the bombing culture was also different. It's not like you throw bombs on random people.
Right.
They evacuate the whole place and then they,
Okay.
do this kind of thing. So it was not of casualty range, but people showed their animosity. And these were civil wars inside 2 different groups of the Muslim communities. These kind of fights used to happen. But what changed and what suddenly surprised me when we came to India was suddenly everything became monochromatic. Now we are used to one race suddenly, one particular language speaking, one particular culture, and anybody who's not part of that culture, is not part of that color or that race or that language, you're an outcast. So, though my parents belonged to that place, they were born and brought up in that small village in Kanyakumari. When I came there, it was like totally you're not welcome there because I did not know the local language. I was not used to that culture at all. By the way, I was introduced to something called as a caste system, where people are different based on the way they are born. So a conflict started inside. Like, how can that be? We are used to so many language people, and everybody were normal. Here, you don't like the neighboring state person because he speaks a different language. And certain colors have got preferences. Certain colors are not accepted, by the way. So it was a war inside me. I mean, I think that was much worse than the Gulf War, right? So it was much worse, and I just could not accept that. There was always a conflict, and I was struggling to, fit myself into that culture. And I used to ask my elder siblings who were there. Only we are four of us, three elder siblings. Two of them were brought up in India, in my uncle's home. Only me and my third sister were brought up in Bahrain. So it was us when we came and we used to ask our siblings, how do you get used to these things? They said, it's okay. I mean, in due time, you'll also adjust to it. But I just could not adjust to it. I felt really outcasted. I felt it that I am alienated. And it all drove me mentally very, very low.
You did not know Tamil?
I did not know Tamil at all. Because when we grew up, we spoke English. And the medium of education there was Hindi and English.
Okay.
So our parents, in order for them also to learn better English, they would also talk to us in English. So we were not used to that language at all.
And apart from that, you also said only you and your sister were wearing shoes. And
I told you the entire culture was a big shock. It was a huge convent school, and me and my sister were the few of them who would wear shoes. And inside the school also there were two barriers: Tamil medium students and English medium. English medium were looked like the creamy layer. We used to wear ties. Okay, just to differentiate yourself that you are an English medium student. And the Tamil medium were separate. So there was always cold wars between these two itself, right? But what I could not understand and what I saw for the first time was all those kids were super tough. Any average kid could run without slippers, and for me, it was not at all digestible. How can you walk without footwears? And they would walk around, run around everywhere without footwears. Perhaps they would ask us, how are you walking with all those shoes on your leg? Don't you feel that you're cramped inside? And we used to like, well, this looks normal for us. We feel normal only with them. In my home, there's a different set of footwear inside the home, a different set of footwear outside. So we are all the time with footwears, and we were never allowed to walk without footwears at all. So it was always in the back of the mind, how are these kids so tough? They would run so very well. For me, I had a problem with running because I was in the shock of this culture. And I realized the more low I started to become, my physical body started to crumble. I started getting into panic attacks. I started getting into a kind of a depression in my mind. I was all the time feeling lonely.
How old were you?
I was 10 years of age.
Depression at 10 years.
And I didn't know it was depression for so many years, by the way. I was just shocked, so I would just isolate myself. And I would not get along with anybody because I had the fear that they're going to make fun of me, because if they would laugh at us for we don't know what reason. And we couldn't understand what are they trying to tell because it was a different language and I'm yet to get the hang of the language. So the first response was avoid all this environment as much as possible. But I used to admire these guys in the back of my mind, how tough they were physically. Anybody could swim. I didn't know how to swim, by the way. Everybody knew how to ride bicycles at various speeds, not even a geared cycle. An ordinary Hercules cycle, there was only either full size or half size. And all kids would ride the full size, putting their legs through the frame, not even sitting on the seat. I couldn't do any of those things. They would run like a cheetah. I could only stand there and watch those things. Everything looked so different, and I used to admire, wow, this is a different world ultimately where we have come to. This is not like the polite, nice world. It's a very rough and tough world. So
Did you get involved in any of those activities?
I tried. But that's when I discovered I could not, because I'm mentally not I'm still not able to relate myself to that group of people. They were still very, very far. They were nice people. They were not bad people. But, the language separated me very badly. I failed to understand how could people be different because they are born in a different caste. I failed to understand how can a language be a reason for somebody to hate someone or like someone. I still fail that, by the way. But in that young age, it was a big conflict because we had Arabs studying with us. We had Egyptians studying with us. We had some of the North Indians with us. So an average in my class was around 12 language groups were there. Well, it was not groups, 12 language speaking children were there. And we never ever felt that somebody was different to the other. Oh, Holi comes. What is Holi? Throwing colors is called Holi. Oh, wonderful. That's the way you celebrate it? Wonderful. Then some other festival comes. What is this? There's an Arab festival, by the way. What is important out here? We don't know, but we all eat very well in this festival. So we are invited to eat, right? So we enjoyed this kind of a culture, and now it is like single color. Everything is monochromatic. Christmas is like this, and it cannot be like that. There we would see different types of Christmas because people come from different cultures. So they all have their own ways of celebrating it. So that colorfulness was totally missing out here. And that really brought me mentally very, very down, that I started, feeling palpitated all the time. If I am cornered or if I am questioned by someone and I don't know how to respond to that, I would palpitate, I would sweat, and I would start to, lose my tone of speaking also. So this grew into a huge disadvantage, and it made me believe that I really can't be like this children one any day of my life. I am way inferior to them. They can run, I can't run. They can swim, I can't swim. They can ride a cycle, I can't ride a cycle. By the way, climbing trees was a big fascination there. There are different types of trees, and children would just compete in climbing. I used to think, were they born in the tree or what? They just climbed so naturally. Some of them use a small ring around their ankles. Many would not even use that. And they would climb. The thinnest of trees was arecanut trees, but they would climb once for all in one and shake the top and reach the next. And they used to start plucking from there. Coconut tree was the second one, and all the other trees. I could barely climb anything because I did not know how does grip works. Our human hands are not designed for this, but how is it working for them? So I was in an awe in one half of my mind. The other half of my mind, my beliefs started growing very, very strong that I really cannot be this tough kids at all in my life. That made me feel so low. My friends were very good to me. They would encourage me to come and play. So they took me for football. The moment I started running from this end to the other end, I was totally gassed out. I settled in the other end of the ground. I never came back to the side. Then I tried running, which I was used to in my earlier days. But now it looked like I'm so heavy suddenly. I just couldn't run at all. My headmaster's son was in my own class. Today he's a cardiac surgeon in Madurai, in Tamil Nadu. But he was a amazing runner. He would just hold his chest like this. I don't know for what, but he would hold like this and he would start running. And he was a top runner out there. Seeing him only, I lost all confidence whether I could even try something like that.
So these were hardcore village kids.
These were hardcore. They were born, they are brought up, they're the sons of the soil. Then some of my good friends said, okay, come to volleyball. You don't have to run around. You just have to stand in one place, and if the ball comes, you just hit it. I was like, wow, that sounds very nice. I went there. I got hit by a ball one day, and I lost my consciousness there. Then the PT sir said, please, don't put us into trouble by this. So you just sit there and watch. Have nice fun. Just sit there. So till my 12th standard, I did not participate in any sports events at all. At all. I came into the conclusion that I just cannot do these things. I'm not meant for this.
So you developed asthma as well as part of this?
Today I realized that asthma was an expression of a low mind. It was an expression of a low esteem, low self-confidence, and no courage in life. It was a result of that. And that became my escape strategy.
Okay. So age of 10 to 12th standard?
That was around 16 years of age. I was there in that place.
Hard years.
Hard years, very, very tough years. But I thank God for good friends. They were very, very supportive to me. They never judged me because I was not able to. I judged myself. I always used to beat my own self. I'm not like them. I'm not like them. But my friends never made me feel like that. They always would make me feel comfortable. It's okay. Focus in your studies at least. And so whatever I was to do with sitting and doing, I slowly started developing a skill out there.
That's very interesting. You chose physiotherapy next.
Yeah.
How did that happen? So you wanted to sit and do stuff, but now you picked up physiotherapy.
So between 6th and 12th, what can you do by sitting in one place? You can play chess, you can play cards. I started becoming a champion out there, I started really learning the art of it. I even learned how to cheat very, very nicely without anybody noticing it, because winning was the theme. I learned music, by the way. I learned vocals, Carnatic, and to play the harmonium. These all are in one place. So, and I was quite excellent in that, because you don't have to move around. You don't have to spend a lot of calories out there. So I thought this is where I'm good at and I should move in this direction. But in the heart of the heart, all those physicalities of these children whom I saw, I had a passion towards this.
Okay.
Maybe now I can't do, but there should be someday a way where I can really do that. So in that pursuit only, I was looking what to do after 12th standard. And I didn't have much understanding about physiotherapy, but the little what I understood was this is to do with something with sports, where you need not be an athlete by yourself, but you can still be part of the whole team and you have a lot of say. That's all I knew. Okay, so it's good. You need not play sports. At the same time, you can be somebody inside the same sport. So that sounded interesting. Wow, maybe a sitting job there also. And that's when I was like, okay, I'm going to do this for sure. So that one day my name title becomes sports physiotherapist by not playing any sports too. So that was my entry into physiotherapy. And I put one condition to my dad. Dad, put me in any college, but I'm not going to be in this town. I will not study inside this town. You have to take me out of this place. That's a strict condition. And thankfully, my dad obliged to that. My dad was a very, very strict disciplinarian. No negotiations with him at all. No conversation terms with him at all. He tells, we all do. That's all. But somehow I mustered all my courage of 6 years and I brought it to him and I told him very firmly, I will study, but not inside this place. And I was surprised when he thought about it for a while and said, yes, let's go to a different town. I'll allow you. I was very, very, very happy. I almost felt like I'm back to where I was in my Gulf days.
So where did you go?
So I went to this small town called as Coimbatore. I did not know something when I went there, okay? Coimbatore is one of the best places where you can get double, triple of asthma attack.
Yeah.
If you already are asthmatic.
Oh.
Okay. The reason is it's a textile industry area. You all the time have cotton dust in the air. So the moment I went there, there are no known people around, right? So nobody to judge me. I told you, nobody judged me, but I judge myself, comparing others. So it was like a new start for me. So now I have to start a track record inside this place. But little did I know that the weather would induce asthma in me very, very badly. And I struggled from day one itself. But I would keep it very silently to me that when I feel that attack and I'm out of my breath, I would silently go and sit in one place and, not move around much so that nobody notices you much. But there I started thinking, what to do now to become strong? There has to be a way. So, as a college student, you want to fill your room with posters. Right? So when we joined hostel, all my friends started to go to buy poster hunting. And I was going through all the posters. Rambo was there, Sylvester Stallone, Arnold Schwarzenegger were very famous those days, right? And so I used to look at their physique and I used to look at mine. Oh my God, can't even relate to that size. So I needed somebody who I could relate to. And after so many, everybody picked up by predominantly Sylvester Stallone and Arnold Schwarzenegger. Since I couldn't relate to myself because I was so far from that, I found finally one guy who looked like me and was very thin. And I was like, wow, this is somewhat doable, right? So without even knowing who that guy is, I picked up that poster. I picked up 2-3 of that posters, which was different posters, and I stuck it in my room. And I asked my roommate who this guy is. He said, he's Bruce Lee. Don't you know him? I said, no, I have no idea who this guy is. He's a martial artist and he's very strong. He gave me a few pointers. See, this is not the internet days where you read in books or newspaper or you just rumor around with it. Right. So he punches in one inch distance and you are still thrown out, right? And he chopped somebody in their stomach with his bare hand, intestines tore into three. So hearing all these things and looking at his size, I was like, wow, you still can be very strong and you can be still thin. So the thin is something I related to myself. And there he got my attention and I was having him in my room. And I realized that he's no more. He passed away so early in life. So my pursuit started. If I go for martial arts, you're definitely going to be a very strong guy. That's how I started my journey to search for a martial artist teacher.
Then you met Master Swaminathan.
Yes. Then Sensei Swaminathan Bhaskaran was the biggest turning point in my life. I'm in touch with him even today.
Tell me about the first day at the karate.
So I was hunting, where do they teach martial arts? And his dojo is what we call it, was right next to my college hostel. So I went, I saw the class. Wow, it was very scary, by the way. Okay. By the way, the style of karate was Kyokushin.
Yeah.
Okay. That's called as the world's strongest karate because they believe in teaching you how to fight without any protective gears.
Okay.
They preserve it very sacred. No punching gloves, no groin pads, no shin pads, nothing. Naturally. You get hit, you get hit. In the road, you're not going to fight with punching gloves and all.
Right.
Right? So that was their theory behind it. And that was their belief. So, but when I entered into that system and I was trained over 4 or 5 years of time, I realized once you are exposed to your fear factor, that's where you get rid of your fear.
Okay.
And my biggest fear was my own self. Because I told you, 6 years of being in that village, I came into conclusion I can never be strong. Nobody told me that, by the way. But I came to my own belief. And here I am going to be exposed to bare knuckles fighting. That was quite a bit. But anyway, Bruce Lee was in martial arts. So the only way to become like that, start with martial arts. So I told him I got severe breathing problem. I don't think so even he cared about it. He just listened to me carefully and said, Monday morning, come, join. 6 o'clock is the class. And he gave me the uniform and all. I wore it, was so proud to flaunt that. Went day one. I still remember in 5 or 6 minutes of the warm-up, I was totally gassed out. I mean, in my mind, I am doing, but my hands and legs are at the same place. I was exhausted. But see, that's where a teacher is. He just smiled at me and he said, it's okay. Just go to the side, but don't go home. Go to the side, sit there and watch for the rest of the class.
Okay.
So I went there because he very encouragingly told me that, and that's something which I went and sat in the side. I was watching the whole class, how they train. Every punishment, for anything and everything, you are punished. Okay. And all the punishments would be in the form of exercises.
Okay.
100 knuckle push-ups, 200 burpees, 500 squats, 1000 duck walks. Okay, 750 frog jumps. Everything was like that. So I used to sit and watch and I slowly started picturing myself like that. Okay, down the line, this is how I'm going to be like. So my belief from I can't slowly started changing into I can. And that made a big difference. I remember the day I entered, I started training with him 7 minutes, 12 minutes, 15 minutes. And there would be days where I could absolutely not even start. But somewhere in that 4 years, that asthma went off. I don't remember exactly when, but I was never huffing and puffing gradually.
Okay.
In 4 years of time, by the time I was in my final year, I could endure a 6 hours of training straight.
Okay.
And this training was like brutal on weekends. We were in Coimbatore. Ooty was close by to us. So we all would be traveling in an Omni van. We will reach the foothill of Ooty. And that's the van door is open. All of you have to get down and start. This is in your karate gears. Okay. Barefoot.
Okay.
And that was my first exposure of running without a footwear. It was not as hard as I thought it was because already by then my mind was conditioned to a lot of tough things. I was able to punch, I was able to kick, I was able to fight 3 minutes. I was able to last multiple bouts of 3 minutes, by the way. So a lot of self-confidence, a lot of boost. And that bent boy from that village suddenly started becoming a straight, upright guy, tall-looking guy. My entire physical image changed because my mental makeup changed. And in Kyokushin, they say that when they teach you sparring, so you are my sparring partner. The order given to me is I should punch you in your chest. You're going to have 20 attempts on count. When they count 1, you have to punch. 2, you have to punch. 3, you have to punch. That's my command. You have to reach that fellow's chest or else you're going to have 200 knuckle push-ups. The other guy will have to block. Okay? And when he's blocking, the command given to him is, if you allow that punch to land on your chest, you get the 200 knuckle push-ups.
Okay.
Now, both of us don't want that. So I am trying hard to land it on his chest, and he is giving his all out to not allow me to land on his chest. That's called a controlled sparring.
Okay.
He knows what I'm doing. I know what I'm doing. I know what he's doing also. But we have to get through that. Very often we will notice that we don't get through it at all. Because in the process of him blocking it, his hands get so conditioned that it can take any amount of pain, which we never realize that. In the process of kicking slowly, then harder kicks, we get desensitized to pain. And that's what is very important in fighting, because when the moment somebody punches your nose and it starts bleeding, people lose their cool.
Right.
But in that, you are exposed to the fear, which means by mistake also, if he kicks your groin, there's no point of saying sorry after that. You get my point? So we were exposed to that fear, but that is what got us stronger.
That's a great philosophy.
That's what got us strong. We were exposed to our fears. And this weekend Ooty trainings, we would start running inside the forest early in the morning. Start running. And all the run was a climb.
Okay.
And we ran all the way. When we reach a flat surface, we will stop there. And then they start exercising. 30 minutes straight, continue your run again. There is no question of, I'm tired, I want water, I'm hungry. Nobody's going to listen to that.
Okay.
The master will run in front, everybody just shut up and follow.
Okay.
Then we go to this place called Paikara Falls. It's cold. Okay, even in good days or even in the peak of summer, that Paikara Falls is always cold.
Okay.
And we get down to neck deep water, and inside the water we start punching. Okay, we start the blocks, we start the punch from inside, we start the kicks from there. So it's good to start like that because you are having a lot of josh, but eventually that cold overtakes you because you are inside surrounded by water and it makes you cramp slowly. Initially you can hold it, but eventually you can't hold it. The cramp will overtake you. If you're too much cramping, get out of the water and stay there. But the training will get over till the last man is standing in the water.
Okay.
So some of our friends will talk to each other, boss, come out quick. Don't stand there too long. Because once you come out, you're in the wet clothes. You cannot remove and squeeze the water out. You just have to be with those wet clothes.
Okay.
So master will be the last person. If we manage to have a good rapport with all, we'll all come out in strategic times so that the overall training is cut short. Then with that wet clothes, again we continue to run to the peak of the mountain called Dodabetta. There sparring starts. That is where sparring starts. When you're already tired everywhere and cramping in different directions, and the weather is also cold and it feels even colder because your clothes are wet. Then 2 hours of sparring, and by 12 o'clock they give you food.
Okay.
And the Omni-man comes and picks you from the top, and then it brings you all the way back to Coimbatore. This was our training, 6 hours straight. No water was given, by the way. And we used to think, how will we endure 6 hours training? Won't we faint? Won't we get thirsty? Yes, you do get thirsty. You do get tired. All these feelings you experience. The only thing is you beat them down. Say that this is what I want and I'm going for it. Now that developed an attitude of, that's called the fighting spirit. Okay. In today's civilized world, barely you get a chance to go and fight with anybody face to face.
Right.
Barely. Right? So it's not all about the physical fight, but through the physical fight, what got toughened up was the attitude.
Absolutely.
Was the attitude that you have to be a winner in this world, man. Nobody's going to be fair to you, by the way. I've seen in sparring, people purposely kick your groin and they say sorry. You just get a warning for that the first time. But in one kick, your opponent is already crumbled half the way through. It's very easy to overtake him in the second round. So sometimes rules are used against rules. Things are going to be unfair in life. But you have to fight your way out if you want to stay on the top. Or if you want to have a fair share, nobody's going to offer it to you on your plate. You have to win that part of it. That attitude got inculcated so deep. And that was my first takeaway from that martial arts class, which was Kyokushin karate under Sensei Swaminathan Bhaskaran. That changed the whole perspective of who I am.
So Sensei not only changed you physically, but that mental fitness.
Yes, physical change happened. Though I did not aim for it. It happened on its own. By the end of 4 years, we could do 200 straight push-ups. We could do 1,500 straight squats. We could do abdomen crunches like 500, 600 without getting a cramp. But all happened eventually, and they all started with that 5 minutes of doing and the remaining 1.5 hours of watching the class.
Right.
Right? That the equation really turned around. by the end of 4 years.
Fantastic. Is that how the passion for exercise science developed in you?
That's how, since exercise gave me a lot of confidence and boost of my self-esteem, when we came to second year, I started realizing my comprehension towards that paper called as exercise therapy was very high. I could understand things about an exercise much more than others could. And I used to wonder, how come this understanding is much more? That's when I eventually realized it is because I'm used to doing it physically or otherwise. So to understand something on the paper was not very difficult. And I had a very good teacher. His name is Dr. Rajan. He is today in Canada. And he would encourage new thoughts, whether he understood or not. Even if he didn't know it at certain times, he was very open to go back, understand it, come back, debate it back with me, or discuss it back with me, and give me his insights. So that entire paper, my second, fourth semester, which I learned, was so interactive with this teacher, and that gave me a lot of boost that inside this field, you really can do something. Okay, and now that you are growing through martial arts, you necessarily need not be somebody just part of the sports world. You yourself could be inside that world. So that changed my entire spectrum and my perspective in my career when career started a few years later.
Your method to physiotherapy is beyond machines. It's about exercise.
Yes.
Is that where the philosophy started?
I would say that's where the philosophy finally came and ended at.
Okay.
Okay, it was not an overnight thought, by the way.
obviously.
But since I saw personal success physically through exercises, I started experimenting that with others. And I always have a feeling in my heart. When you start doing something with your whole heart, the world gives you the opportunity. So when I came to Bangalore to do my master degree in Oxford College in musculoskeletal and sports, I took up a part-time job in Talwakar Better Value Fitness. So all these thoughts, which was just theory in my head, and I started fine-tuning that through the college in the daytime, and I started experimenting that with people in the evening every day. And when I saw success, I realized that my belief is not just my own belief. It is a fact and it is something true. It can change. And hence I stuck very, very close to that. And I formulated the logo line in my emblem, which says, exercise is medicine.
In fact, your 4 years of bachelor's of physiotherapy, it's pretty much like an integrated learning. So you are at the college learning about the theory, and you are actually putting it to practice at the dojo.
Yes.
So it actually built a very good base for you.
It built a very solid base. And around my second year, my martial arts teacher himself told, now you need to learn weight training also. So you go and join a gym, by the way. So I was like, lift weights? Are you sure? I think I'm too young for that. He said, no, just go and do it. That will really complement you out here. And I had no idea about how gym works. I went to a gym. There were only few gyms, by the way, okay? Most of them were this traditional akadas, wrestling academies, right? So since I was anyway learning martial arts, I didn't want to go to those academies. There was a modern gym and I asked somebody, can you help me? I have no understanding about this. It's my teacher who's asking me to do this. So there were a few of them. I don't remember their names because they're not one particular person.
Okay.
They were all local bodybuilders. Okay, they compete at district level, at panchayat levels and all. And they showed a lot of interest to train me and teach me. And I learned a lot of exercises of how to lift weight. And it was so fascinating. The day one when I saw somebody lifting 50 kilograms, I was like, wow, he should be really very strong. But in weight training, the philosophy is the same like martial arts. What you can't do, first of all, understand that. And then work with it and make that happen one fine day. So day one, 2 kilograms, 3 kilograms. And when you're consistent with the 2 or 3 kilograms, you will notice one day you've got strength to lift even more than 3. And nobody needs to tell you that. You will only go to the next weight.
Right.
Okay. So over a period of 3 years of weight training out there, I could lift the same weight which the guy lifted when I saw him on day one.
Okay.
50 kilograms on a bench press, I was able to do that. 100 kilograms for a deadlift, I was able to do that. 75 kilograms of squats, I could do that. But it was built up over so much time. And I was very consistent because I just loved exercising.
Right.
And it gave me a big kick and it boosted me a lot. And I would flaunt that strength in the hostel. Come on, push-up challenge. Who's coming for that? And I would love to beat people on those challenges.
Nice.
Right? Squats challenges. who's going to do an abdomen crunch and make a heavy guy stand on your tummy and hold that longer. All kind of crazy ideas you get. And you want to basically to flaunt your own strength. Right? So I started doing that inside the hostel and I became known for that. Oh, very strong guy. Very strong guy. Doesn't look like that though, but very, very strong guy. That became a big boost for me. And then when I came to Bangalore, I started working with different people also. Till that I was just working with my own self. I started bringing this out to others. And that's when I realized that, hey, there is a bigger group of people whom you can still reach out to. And that was the founding stone of my enterprise, Attitude Prime.
Attitude Prime. So when did that happen?
Exactly 15 years back.
Okay.
So 21 years is my career span. Out of that, 15 years is my entrepreneurial career. So that is going on for past 15 years.
Fantastic. So someone who felt like I'm bullied and I can't do many things, I have this inferiority complex, and then you started Attitude Prime to help others build strength. That's actually a full turnaround. Actually.
That's a full turnaround. That's a complete makeover.
Yeah.
Till today, because now WhatsApp is very common.
Right.
So we are all connected. School friends are connected through WhatsApp.
Yeah.
They keep telling me, we don't remember seeing you like this, man. You were not that guy who would do any sports, by the way. Not many of them knew that I had a struggle with myself, my emotions. They did not know that because counseling, all these things were very far-fetched in those days, So people just moved on in life. But they were not able to articulate that, we can't imagine you doing marathons today, you doing triathlons today. This is not you, man. What happened? So many of them think it's because I'm a sports therapist, I became like that. But the truth is the other way around. My exercising career is way longer than my professional career.
Right.
Is way longer than that. I learned swimming in the journey. I learned cycling in the journey. I even learned how to climb trees during COVID time, by the way. So that kid which was upset inside, I just opened him out, right? So the biggest outreach was when I could run, swim and cycle. And the tree climbing was always there. We should figure out how do we get this done. That also happened in COVID, seeing a few YouTube videos. Me and my son, we both learned it together, how to climb coconut trees. And wow, it was so liberating.
So our childhood does not go away.
It just, I think I'm that still child, but a very confident child.
Right.
It's not that child, oh my God, what will I say if they tell me like this? Because in school life or in village life, bullying is very common. It is not looked upon as something bad. And I think that is what makes them all very tough. Nobody gets annoyed because you passed a comment and I didn't know what to reply. I'll come back tomorrow and give you a reply though.
Okay.
That was the attitude of people, boys and girls. Like today we see a lot of, sensitiveness. I gave a negative comment in somebody's social media, fellow hangs himself tomorrow. That sensitiveness was not there. Then I realized people are tough because the culture is tough. Women also speak back if a guy bullies. They are not going to sit and cry with their dad those days. They will face it straight away with them. I've seen, when boys pass comments sitting in the corner of the street, girls removing footwear and showing them, right? This guy passes a comment, girl does not know what to do. She'll come there next day prepared with a dialogue and she'll give it back. That was the attitude, It was, nobody stepped back. Everybody found their way how to fight and over. It was not looked upon as something which is bad. Oh, you should not criticize somebody. You should not make fun of them. That was not wrong those days. Today it's wrong. Today it's a very, very sensitive issue. But those days, then I realized this is what makes these guys very, 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 very strong. Because the culture which I grew up was against all these things. Oh, you cannot touch somebody without their permission. You want to say something, you have to ask permission, right? You cannot make fun. If you make fun, you will be called to the principal's office. Here, who cared about principal? Beat, fight, whatever it is. They will only finish it before the principal office. By the time you go to the principal office, no, we never had a fight. No, we friends, look at us. Well, the principal is not a dumb guy for sure. He's like, yeah, you're saying that, but your shirt doesn't say that. There are a few buttons missing there. And he would whack, because whacking was the style. And the school which I grew up in Bahrain, you can't touch a child. There was nothing called as beating. And here, there was nothing called as questioning a child. First thing is beat, then question. So, I got along with all those things. But later I realized this is what makes people tough. And I finally realized that's the reason I don't look back into my childhood with regrets. I realized that tough things make people tough.
Makes sense.
You can never be tough without being exposed to tough things. And knowingly or unknowingly, that's what the school did to us. That's what that environment did to me. I was, of course, down because I didn't know what to do at that point of time. But later I realized those were all part of the making of who I really am today.
That makes sense. A lot of sense. So you were running as part of the 6-hour long grueling sessions when you were working with Sensei Swaminathan. When did you pick up recreational running?
Though I used to run in the karate dojo, I always had a fear of running. The reason was, as I told you, in my childhood days in India, when I used to brisk walk, I used to be out of breath. So somewhere in my belief system, if you run, you're going to get asthma back. But these sessions, mindlessly, I end up running because you have no choice there. You just have to follow. But that fear was there. I did not really pick up running at all. It was always in the back of my mind that if you're able to move around a bit, it's fine. But all the other hardcore trainings I underwent. Interestingly, when my daughter was born, I got into a spine injury. That was my first spine injury. It happened in my martial arts class only. It was my first degree black belt when I got in Shorin-ryo karate. It was in a sparring. I was aiming to kick my opponent in his neck. So he was a tall guy. So aiming his neck would be slightly above my shoulder. But in the process of really executing that kick, I overshot. I shot even higher than his neck level. That is when I felt something went wrong with my back. I heard a click sound. And even before that bout was over, I signaled them saying that I'm injured.
Okay.
And the next day morning, I just could not even get out of my bed. I was flat on my bed, severe pain in my back. And I realized I got an injury in my back. I took assistance from my college professors and all. They guided me through exercises gradually. It's okay, it happens during martial arts and all those things. And I recovered from that. However, I realized I was not fully recovered. There would be something which would debilitate me. So I could not even go back to my martial arts class after that. So, and when I was searching answers, I tried a lot of exercises which I knew, and I was teaching others also. It didn't help me at all. So I thought I'll go and meet one of my teachers in Chennai, whom I grew up under. So I went and met him. He, Dr. Kannan Purendi from Spark. So he told, boss, whatever you are known to is not going to work for you because you already know it very well. Your body and mind knows it very well. What is that you don't know? What is that you are scared of? If there is something, you try and do that now. It will work. I was like, what kind of an advice is this?
So are you saying if your body is already conditioned to do something and if you do that, it is not helping?
Because you're too much used to it.
Okay.
Okay,
Your body is
so
adapted.
It's adapted to it very well. So what you're adapted to now is not going to help you to overcome this. You have to go something above that. Any out of respect, I listened to him and I came back to Bangalore. On the way, I was thinking, what is that I'm scared of? First thing which popped out was, fellow, you're scared to run. You really don't want to face a situation called running. And I was so scared because sitting itself was very painful for me. How am I going to run? But that's called faith. No, that teacher is a great guy. And he talks all about exercise. He should definitely know what he told me. He cannot be wrong so easily. Why don't we try it? That is how I started to run.
Okay.
My first run was in Jayanagar Shalini grounds. Today, I know the distance was 300 meters, but those days there was no GPS watch. So first day I went, I ran once, took my car, went home, I lied down in the bed. I said, oh my God, tomorrow morning my back is going to show up. Nothing showed up. Day 2, I ran 2 rounds. Then I slowly increased it to 3 rounds. In my mind, I was thinking it is 1 kilometer. Okay. But I started running more. I started increasing the distance. Nobody to guide. I just finished my work at 9 o'clock in the evening and go there and run in the dark because nobody will see me running out there. So I would run, and that slowly in that journey, somewhere that pain went off. So then one of my clients told me that there's something called as Bangalore Midnight Marathon happening. You should try that. So without knowing anything, I straight away signed up for half a marathon.
Okay.
That was my first official event. In my mind, I'm thinking this one round is 1 kilometer and I was able to run 20 rounds. So 20 kilometers I'm able to run anyway. So 21 kilometers is not going to be a big deal. So I realized how terribly wrong I was after I went there. And those days was 2010. The loop of it was 1 kilometer loop. So 20 kilometers means 21 means 21 rounds you have to take in that. And you have to count for your own self. Timing chips were just new out there. When I ran the first 1 kilometer, I realized how long was 1 kilometer. And that fear came in, oh my God, today 21 is going to be something what you trained for, something else what you're doing for. I remember before the race, I was used to running 20 rounds. So 20 into 300 meters, you know how much it is. That's all I'm used to. But with the crowd cheering, food available to eat on the way, current goal is to reach there. You reach there, next pillar. So that was how I moved around. In around 3.5 hours or something like that, I finished a half marathon. I was not confident to come back home. So I slept in the car there itself in Whitefield,
Okay.
thinking something might terribly go wrong with my back. Nothing happened. I woke up in the morning. I was normal in the car. Then I drove back to my home. I called my wife. I told, look, something happened. I did this much distance, and 21 is not what I thought was 21. It was so big.
After training for only 6 kilometers.
After training only 6 kilometers. But it feels nice. And there is something which I feel nice. I didn't know what it was. Now I know it's runner's high. So I said, I'm going to do this. I'm going to slowly practice now. And I started reading slowly in the net and getting to talk to some running people.
Okay. So injury brought you here.
Yes.
Fantastic. So you continued to run and then you have finished around 24 marathons.
I've finished around 24 full marathons and I've done around 3 ultra marathons also.
And 23 of them are barefoot.
23 of them are barefoot. Yes.
So tell me about your fascination with barefoot.
Barefoot. I told you when I came to India, I was surprised to see human beings could walk without footwear and be normal. You know, it did not articulate in my mind at all because I'm used to wearing footwear inside the house, wearing outside the house. It was very strict in my house that you cannot dirty your feet. So after my first year of running, that child again peeped up. Hey, there's something called as barefoot running. And those days there was nobody to go and ask all these things. So one person who I used to talk about running and all, he gave me a book called as Born to Run. And I realized there is a tribe of people out there in Mexico running barefoot, that too hundreds of kilometers. Then I found some hope. Okay, you may not be the only crazy guy out there. There are people already who are doing it. How bad could it be? So I removed my shoes one day and I went back to that 300-meter loop. I ran little by little, foot blistered by the way. Eventually knee started paining, back started hurting. But I would do alternate other exercises around that and all this pain started vanishing off. And there was another level of kick, running without footwear. And eventually I realized what a great decision that was because running shoes are so expensive. So being very economic, I don't regret that choice. But that was a huge kick and I really felt like I am that native guy back there in the village who I envisioned as a very strong and powerful guy. I felt like now I am like one of them. I can also do what they could do back then when I couldn't do all those things. So that was my first spark, but the courage to do that came through that book, Born to Run. And till today, all my marathons have been only on barefoot, including the ultra marathons, which was trails. The Malnad Ultra Marathon, 110 kilometers, was purely trails. No looking back. It's been a wonderful journey. Do I advocate barefoot running to all? Not really, by the way. Okay. Because if you ask me, is running important or barefoot running important? Running is important. Barefoot running has got to do a lot of training for that. You have to condition your feet very regularly. If you stop conditioning your feet, that adaptation goes off very soon. So it's a personal choice.
So if somebody were to start barefoot running, what are the few things that they should focus on?
First of all, remove your shoes and start running. People ask, how do you transit from thick sole to thinner soles and then no soles? I don't think so.
Just remove shoes.
Just remove your shoes, go start running. You will see a roadblock for sure in a kilometer or two itself because sensations which you were never used to will start reminding you. And you know how great our roads are in India, right? So my fear was there's glass, there is thorns, there is even nails I've come across. Pebbles and all, nothing to worry about because our foot will move around that very well. Okay. You will not run through that. But as I started training in barefoot, the foot response started increasing. Initially, only after I run through a thorn, I'll come to know I got a thorn in my leg. But eventually, the moment that skin touches that thorn, the body withdraws from that immediately. So even before it runs inside, I can just pull it off and continue my run. The sensitiveness increases, and hence your reflex also increases. Okay, there are other benefits, but those are not my prime goals. I run barefoot because of the joy of it, not because it is having acupressure effect on your body, it's going to stimulate. Those are all there. Okay, they're not false, they're true. But I run purely because of that kid who thought you can't run without a footwear. So that kid is very happy today.
So the child is never going away.
Never going away, yes.
Then you also started Raramuri running group.
Yes.
So that came from the Born to Run book.
Followed by that, around that time, see, in my life, whatever I experience for myself, and if I find it good, I always create a channel to, invite others also into it. So somebody brought me into running, and including that person, we started this group, maybe around 7 or 8 of us together. It was not like I'm the coach there and I know everything about running. We all learned running together. So people would bring different ideas. Since I was technically sound about human physiology and anatomy and biomechanics, I would validate that. Is it a good idea to do that? Is it not a good idea to do that? Only the validation came from me, by the way. But overall, we all experimented running. So how much to run, how long to run, everything was a pure experience. And we all ran because we were happy running. There was no target about time. There was no target about how long you should run. All those things. See, the marathon world encourages everyone. It is not restricted to the top 3.
Right.
Right. Everybody who finished that distance is a finisher. And it's more important to be a finisher than to be on the podium. Yes, if you're extremely good, you will be in the podium. But that's not all about marathons. So that culture encouraged a lot of people to come into running. And I wanted to share my joy of running to others through a channel. And that's how that running group came into existence. And since the Raramuri folks were the barefoot runners, so I put that name into the running group. That became our running group, SNAIL.
So one thing I've noticed is whenever you are in distress, you go and talk to the mentors, coaches. Of course, you are acting as a unofficial coach or mentor for this running group, but you also work with Chandru sir, who is your coach. Why do we need coaches?
Coaches is somebody who can guide you and who can fine-tune your potential. So Chandrasekhar sir is the founder of TTB, Trailblazers. The Trailblazers running group, a very inspirational person. He is in his 60 plus. He started running when he was 49, 50 years of age, right? And a person from being extremely obese, he was very successful in the corporate world. And he wanted to get into running. And we call him Usain Bolt. Okay, when he started his running, he was like lightning fast. And straight away in the first year, he ran through an injury. And I really admire that person for showing that kind of resilience through that particular injury. If I'm right, almost 7 to 9 years he worked with that injury. In 1 year, he shot to glory in 10K. And the next year, he was injured. He just can't run. And he was already a running coach, by the way. So, but he never ever gave up. In many of my injuries which I had gone through, I look upon him for that persistence, and he would try different things. He would never get tired of trying something. And finally, he broke through that barrier of injury in around 9 years, if I'm right.
Okay.
And he came back to 10K. He grew to 21K. He even did a full marathon, slow, steady. Eventually, he did it. And if I'm right, his recent full marathon was like around 3 hours, 25 minutes.
Okay.
He's around 63 years of age. That's called resilience. And that is something which I've learned it only through exercise and these kind of long distance sports. That the battle is not outside. You don't have physical enemies who wants to beat you down. The battle is always here.
Right.
And you have to find a way to overcome that battle. Because today, the world belongs to those who are not physically strong, who are mentally very strong. But you get that mental strength only from doing something physical. The physical training which you put, which benefits your body, no doubt about that, indirectly trains your mind to be strong.
So that's how they are connected.
That's how they are connected. So for these pointers, you'd really need a coach. And Chandrasekhar sir was very, very instrumental out there. Perhaps he was the first person who got me to a point of doing a marathon within 4 hours.
Okay.
So under his guidance, I broke that 4 hour barrier. And I really realized there are so many things which was unwanted in my training, which I did not see. For me, it was just about the joy of it. But he slowly fine-tuned those things. An amazing person for sure. And that's where a mentor really matters, to make you more efficient.
Okay. So I'm part of this group called Jekku Runners. We are just informal group of runners. And they were telling me that last year trot was a hit. And they were saying, out of all the events that they have participated in, trot was one of the best organized event. So that is something that is organized by you. So tell us about trot.
Trot has got a very interesting story. When we started this running group, eventually, people graduate out of it. They come with an understanding that I want to learn how to do a 10K, and we guide them through that, and they come to a point they can do 10K, right? So like a awarding ceremony or a valedictory ceremony for them, what do you call that when you come out of a college?
The graduation
Ceremony. So we wanted an event for them to graduate. That's how we started Trot. Trot stands for the Run of Raramuri Tribe. So 7 or 8 people were there in the first batch who graduated, and second batch was around 10 people or 12 of them, by the way. So for them, we started this Trot Run. Trot Run was a graduation ceremony.
So if you finish the first race, you celebrate them there.
Yes, so that is the celebration. After that is your choice. You want to stay back with the group or you want to pursue here forward, it's your choice. So some of them stay back, many of them move forward from there. All these things happen. So it was a graduation ceremony. And I still remember our aid stations used to be car boots. We would stop a car there, open the boot space, and that was our aid stations. Okay, it was organized by our own running folks. People who run only used to organize that. Then slowly it started snowballing. People wanted to bring their friends also into it, That's how the event started growing bigger. Then we realized car boot is not enough. You need to put a table out there. Now when 100 people are running, they need a timing also. So we put timing in place. Then when you put timing, people also want a t-shirt from the event. So we brought all these things. We are not professional organizers at all. But out of being a runner yourself, you know what a runner expects. So we started bringing those dynamics slowly into place, and that event started growing all this while. Last year was a comeback for us because with COVID, we stopped the event. Before COVID was the last event which we conducted, Trot 11 that was, and it was around 2,000 runners out there. And when the numbers started growing, we also wanted to support social cause through that, because there are many underprivileged parts of our society which needs help. So we found a channel to help a particular group of people also through this. And then the event started. We started putting people into committee. We started professionally getting things done also. And that's how this whole event grew up. With COVID, we stopped it. And last year, we restarted it. And man, that was the first trot which rained crazy. And I was broken down that day, seeing the rain, thinking we have to cancel the event. But wow, 4:30 in the morning, the full marathoners were all set ready and they were forcing us, you just flag off, we will go and run. It was pouring rain. And I was thinking, okay, if they are ready to run, what's my problem to flag off? So we did what we had to do, warm them up under a cover, and we flagged off. It was raining. Through the rain, they ran around 1 hour. Then later only the rain came down. But it was a huge comeback for our whole running group also, and for an event to come back also. It was enjoyable, by the way.
Fantastic.
It is purely done by all runners.
That's very good. So give it back, pay it forward.
Yes. Exactly.
So you also believe in the philosophy that our talent should be used for helping people around us, betterment of our society. So you helped HIV-infected kids and you had some impact on their life. So tell us about that.
Okay. There are no accidents.
Right.
Everything is already scripted. Right. So around 7-8 years back, I was invited to this home where they host HIV-infected children. They educate them and provide them opportunities to be part of the society in terms of employment and all. So there was a running coach who was working with them in terms of running.
Okay.
And I was invited because children started having injuries. Now we should keep in mind, these are not ordinary children. Their physiology works very different to us. They are very, very infectious prone children. They're prone for infection. Untimely deaths happen out there. Their immune system is very weak, right? So they're very different. And many of them don't fully grow also, right? I mean, they'll be 21 years of age, but they will look like a 14-year-old child.
Okay.
So they're a different group of children ultimately. So because they got into running, because they wanted to be fit, or somebody put that idea, which is a good idea, that they should also be fit, which was not brought by me to them. It was a different person's idea. But when they started noticing injuries in these children, that's when they called me that, can you help us to cater to these injuries? When I went there, I just went there with the mindset that somebody's got knee pain and ankle pain and back pain. Let's go and teach some exercises to get rid of this problem. But as I started interacting with these children, I realized that they just did not want to just run. They were very passionate about it.
They wanted to perform.
They wanted to perform. And they didn't consider themselves any different to others in the society. We got our stigma, okay, these are such kind of children. They've got these problems. So your rational mind has already got a picture about that. But when I saw the reality, it did not match with each other at all. They were passion driven. They wanted to do something. And they spoke and behaved like normal children. I like that. Whenever somebody's got some passion, I always like that. Then I set certain calendar changes for me. Okay, once in 3 months, I'll have a review with you guys. And I'll ensure that you do your exercises properly. And these are children, by the way. And believe me, in my clinic, I teach exercise to elders. Very often, we get to see that people don't do it properly. Or they do it because you told them to do it. But I never saw that with these children. They will come and show me next time what all they did and how they will explain what was the process. They went through all those things. Now I feel good and all. They were in the game. Then I started getting a little more closer to these kids. And then I spoke to the running coach also. I said, see, we need to work a little bit together here. These children are first of all gifted. They are very passionate about what they're doing. You're doing a fantastic job by teaching them how to run. I think if we put certain fitness programs in place for them, they won't even get into this vertical of pain and injuries. Are you okay for that? So he said, yeah, no problem. You can integrate your program into that. Then we started setting up some elderly children out there as leaders. And we started training them. And I used to give them exercise programs. These are the things and I trained them in that. They will execute it to the other children as part of their assembly and their workouts. So it was a guided program. It was monitored. And these children started growing out there. Slowly, when I went there in my consecutive visits, I started seeing less children for injuries.
Okay.
Like earlier, I would see like 40, 45 children on a day. It slowly became like 10 and 5 and 3. And after that, there were no children only out there for injuries. But everybody got on board for exercises. And some of these children have done 10Ks in like stunning speeds, like 29 minutes to 31 minutes.
Wow.
They've done in world level, by the way. Few years back, they did a small documentary on their lives and how fitness has changed them. It was a Oscar nominated one. Okay, they didn't get to that though, but the movie was Oscar nominated. And for me, it's a big moment in their life. And a lot of coaches, running coaches were there behind them. There are plenty of people who supported them. I had a very small role to play and I still play that with them consistently in terms of being their strength and conditioning coach. So that is how these children became part of my life.
You said it's not the virus that is limiting them, it's the lack of structural strength program.
The virus is one part of it, by the way. But eventually we started noticing so many changes. Now, I've never worked with HIV-infected children. But these are testimonials which the organization heads would come and tell us. And one of the biggest testimonies which I still treasure in my heart is once that father is run by Roman Catholic fathers and nuns. He came and told me, Gladson, you know what? Every year we shell out considerable amount of money for the health of these children. Because if they get sick for the slightest reason, hospitalization, cross-infection, once they come to a hospital, cross-infection, sometimes children die because of cross-infection because they don't have that immunity built inside them. But 4 years into this program of me being the strength and conditioning coach for them, the other running trainers and coaches being integral for their running, all put together, we started seeing their immunity also growing. And it came to the point that once that father told me this year, the medical bill for these children was 0. That was my greatest moment. I'm not the only one to take that credit. There are many others who contributed, by the way. But I'm happy that I was able to contribute my bit. And that was a big success for me. A normal person doing is different. a child who's growing with a lot of social stigma, growing with rejection, growing with social mockery, and not being accepted as part of the mainstream. Till today, we have got that stigma. Doing something, and today many of those children are coaches themselves. I work with this only one home, maybe around 60, 70, 80 children at the maximum. But many children have grown up to the point to take up employment. Some of them are fitness coaches themselves.
Wow.
And they are reaching out to other HIV-infected schools. So today we have got around 400, 500 children out there, but I've never seen them directly. I only directly work with this small group. They are the ones impacting all the others out there.
Isn't that fulfilling?
That's so fulfilling, I tell you. I really can't express that. And the passion, I think, the passion is what caught me. Anything which is passion driven, because my work is not because I'm qualified for that, I'm doing that work. It is passion. I am on my toes when I enter at 8 o'clock. And I am continuing to be on my toes till evening 4:30. Somebody has to remind me, it's 4:30, you're done for the day. Then only I come to my senses, okay, if you're done for the day. Why am I able to express so much energy into my work? It is not because that is my personality. No, I do that out of sheer passion and love. Enabling a human being to do things which even he never thought he would do ever in life is really soul fulfilling. When I meet people, as I told you, they come with only one goal. If I walk, I'm more than enough. If I can bend without a painful back, I'm more than enough. That's how they enter. And I play that small role of getting rid of the discomfort. But I show them a bigger door, saying that you have to enter this world of fitness, irrespective of whatever age you are. I work with the oldest in my book is 99 years of age, a person. And he is somebody who walked into my clinic and I asked, what can I do for you? He said, I heard a lot about you. Can you teach exercise for me? I'm 99 years of age. He came walking.
Yeah.
I said, wow, you don't have a problem to meet me? He said, no, I don't have any problem. No knee pain, no back pain. He said, do I look like that? And I said, yeah, you don't look like that, but I'm just asking because that's a common injury. He said, no, I just wanted to learn some exercise from you. Can you teach me? We taught him 4 exercises. By the way, he was very happy at the age of 99. So I work across ages. And never I have seen that when you enter this world of fitness, you are never going to be worse than where you were earlier. You are only going to become better and better from where you are, despite the fact that you are growing older and older every single day. When I hear people that where I am at 50s, I am a lot better than where I was at 40s. Where I am at 60s, this was not how I was when I was 40s. I'm much better. That really makes me feel that, yes, you have lived that purpose, that, exercise is medicine. It does not reduce anybody's age, for sure, but the quality of living never gets compromised when you stick close to exercise.
You're in a very beautiful profession, actually.
Yes, I'm really thankful for God because I told you my injuries.
Right.
I never knew that we're going to reach this far. Even now, when I look forward, I'm sure there are a lot more surprises waiting for me to take me across different places, and I'm all set prepared for that.
You should invite those bullies and throw a party to them. Because of them, you're in a beautiful profession.
They're all good friends to me. They're all good friends to me. And some of them tell me, be grateful to me. It's me who gave you the first dumbbell.
Because this beautiful profession wouldn't have been there most probably if it was not for that child.
If it was not for that kind of a childhood. Yeah. So looking back, that's why I say there's no accidents. I'm really thankful to God for that rough patch of life. And not many a times I've expressed that in many places also. I never knew there were certain problems. I eventually discovered, okay, these were all the problems I was going through in the past. And the asthma, which I believed was a physical problem, I think it was a psychosomatic problem. Looking back, because I don't know where it went off me. But it went off for sure only when I entered into exercise and when life started changing, physical ability started changing. That's when it went off. So it is a part of an expression of a weak mind.
Right.
Okay, I'm not saying all asthmas are like that.
Yeah.
But the one which I was going through was an expression of a mind which was weak at that kind of time.
So I worked with a powerlifting coach, Coach Vishak, who has started barbell therapy. And most of his clients, they would have one or the other problem, like sciatica, for example. And through functional strength, you would help them overcome that. So what is with functional strength? How does it look like in real world?
See, the human body is so beautiful. We are still learning it.
Right.
I'm 21 years into this profession. I'm still learning it. Even scientists, human exercise physiologists, biomechanics, all these professionals, we are still learning the body. But for whatever we know so far, it's an amazing thing. You look at the animal kingdom. Many animals are extincted because environment changed.
Right.
You cannot see a sea level creature existing in a Himalayan mountain top. Neither can you see an altitude creature living in a tropical weather.
Right.
But you look at human beings.
Yeah, everywhere.
We are everywhere. We are still want to go to moon also and survive there. Okay. I don't know when is it going to really happen or not. I don't think so that will happen. But let's keep the option open. Okay. We are still experimenting. Why? Because we have got something very unique to ourselves. That's called adaptability. We are physically, mentally, emotionally adaptable creatures. No other creatures can adapt. You may have heard about this great white whale shark, which can never live in captivity. You bring it under captivity, you give the richest food, it will die. It just cannot adapt to something which is closed. Well, as human beings, you see they are in minus degree also.
Yeah.
They are in snow. Okay. They are in deserts. Okay. Even when places don't have proper water resources, you got human beings living there.
Right.
Right? We've seen human beings in all kind of harsh and extreme situations because of this one thing about us called as human adaptability. It's a boon. I think it's a gift which God has given us. So the beauty is the body adapts. The body adapts to a lot of things. Once upon a time, we thought human beings cannot run for longer distances. Only the horses and these kind of creatures are long distance runners. We discovered that human beings are also long distance runners. We can run as long as we want to, right? And if you read this book, Born to Run, many of the documentaries, you can see how human beings hunt deers by outrunning them. They are sprinters. We're not sprinters. We just run the deer from morning to afternoon, tire it down, and we shoot it down. Right? That's an adaptability. So we thought marathons should be the ultimate that human beings can really perform. Then we saw human beings running in millions marathons. Then we thought if we club it with running and swimming and cycling and make it a triathlon, it's going to be really heavy on the human body. Again, the trend started growing in millions eventually. Then we came with Ironman. Then we came with Ultraman. Now there are so many different mans existing out there trying to put different levels of load in the human body. And what we see as the ultimate result is human body still adapts, develops, and overcomes the challenge. So the human body is got adaptability. It can change and it is meant to overcome obstacles. When this is the core concept, what we apply in terms of exercise. Exercise is nothing but choreographed, tailored movements. That's all. You are bending to pick an object, correct? Because your back is designed to bend. We train that movement with deadlifts, with some weights gradually. Once your muscles become strong for a set number of weight, we increase the weight. We sit down in the floor and we get up. We train that movement in the form of squats. We semi-bend to pick up something. We train it in the form of lunges. Right? We push, we pull things in our daily life. We train that through push-ups, pull-ups. Right? So exercise mimics the movements which we naturally have in the body. And when we move, just for layman's understanding, we say you become strong. But this word is a very big, long word. Inside that, there are so many things. It not only makes you strong, it makes you mobile. It makes your muscles flexible. Joints become mobile. They become stable. You develop stamina. And you're not just working with muscles when you're doing exercise. You are moving along with that muscles, bones, joints, ligaments, nerves, blood vessels. There is an array of things which moves along with the movement which you're doing. Hence, we need to understand the impact of exercise is not limited to the muscles which we see with our bare eyes. Can you exercise your kidneys? Can you exercise your heart directly? No, we can't. But through your hands and legs, which you move through exercises, they impact your whole system inside. This is what exercise therapists like me, we take advantage of when it comes to recovery. Okay, so we bring the body, we understand what is the movement which is lost. And from there, we bring the body to move normally. Okay, and in the process, the body heals itself. We don't heal the body. We just teach the movement, we guide the movement, we select the movement, and we give it to people. And many musculoskeletal problems do get addressed without going under the knife. Okay? I'm not against surgery. Surgery has got its own role. And there are cases where we have to say surgery first, exercise second. So it's very case dependent, by the way. But in general, there are many conditions which can be addressed slow, steady, consistently with exercise. That is now like breaking science all over. Okay. And we take advantage of these principles under which the human body operates.
Makes sense. And when it comes to exercise and movement, you talk about 5S and 1M.
On a general basis.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what are those?
So these are some basic virtues of the body. Strength, which means the ability to generate force. Okay. When I want to lift something, when I want to push something, I need to generate force in my body. That's called strength.
So train for that.
They train for that. That's a virtue of the musculoskeletal system. You have to train for that. When something falls down, I have to bend and pick, or I have to stretch forward or backward, and I have to reach to certain distances. Your muscles, which are elastic in nature, needs to elongate without getting injured. Training that is called flexibility training. Okay? When you have to sit in a particular position, which can be cross-leg sitting or Indian toilet squatting, your joints needs to move over a big range. So joint mobility is a virtue and it needs to be trained. Okay? Stability, holding the body in a particular position for a longer duration of time. Like I'm carrying a child in my shoulders.
Yeah.
Carrying the child from the floor to my shoulders requires my strength. But holding the child in place requires stability, right? Without wavering. So stability is a virtue which you need to train. Then comes stamina. Repeating an activity again and again over a period of time. These all are virtues of the body. And this all needs to be trained. So a full-fledged training program should have all these basics. Whatever I spoke is basics. And I stick to basics. Because beyond the basic, there are so many things. There is speed. There is reaction time.
Right.
There is power. There is agility. There are so many, by the way. Right? But these are the basics.
Okay.
Which needs to be ensured that your exercise program should have these things inside it. Your exercise program should not get skewed. In my training, I do only stretches. Well, then you are like a rubber band, but what about strength? And when a strength challenge comes in life, you get injured. You get my point? So your training program should not get skewed. It should have all these basic elements in optimal ratio inside. You should not focus one more than the other.
So there should be a mix of all of
There
it.
should be a mix of all. And it should be consistent.
Not it. Now, your passion for exercise science and also your vision that you want to touch lives of people across the globe gave birth to Fitmasters.
Yes.
But also there is a backstory of obsession. So DPT can also get injured.
Yes. Yes.
Tell us about that.
This program, like the saying is, opportunity favors the prepared mind.
Right.
Okay? I'm a very camera shy person before COVID. We tried to do one YouTube video because somebody wanted to take me a video of me. It was a 3-minute video. So I thought it should be very easy. After 3 minutes, we're going to talk about only one particular thing. But believe me, standing in front of the camera, I started constantly adjusting my shirt, talking like this, talking like that. I was so uncomfortable. We shot for close to 3 hours and we still didn't get that 3-minute shot done.
Okay.
And the person finally gave up. He said, boss, you can't speak in front of cameras. Forget it. And he took his cameras and he went off.
Okay.
So I thought, okay, looks like it's a big problem for me. Anyway, there was no use for camera, so forget it. COVID came like a blessing in disguise. For the first 48 hours, I didn't know what was COVID. What is it going to lead to? What is going to be the scenario like? No idea about that. But what we realized was we're going to be inside home for some time now. So from my running group, somebody told me, anyway, you'll do some exercise regularly. Why don't you just on the camera and do it in front of the camera and just explain all the exercises and just do it. We'll see you and we'll do it. I said, okay, not bad. Anyway, I don't have to look at the camera all the time. Just going to be there and I'm going to just do exercises. So they taught me how to use Zoom. The first time I'm using that. And every time I'm going to explain the exercise, I just come closer to the camera. I tell this is the exercise and I'll go back. And I was doing it. Basically, it was my personal exercise program.
You're in your elements.
Yes. So eventually there was a fun because people start asking, no, we want a little bit more, little variety here. Like that we want, like this we want. And it started growing like that. Then, we did it first straight for 40 days, I remember. Non-stop because we were all at home. Nobody was allowed to go out anywhere. So 40 days straight we did. Then they said, no, we'll have to invite our friends also. Others also could benefit from this. Then we skewed that program into, okay, we'll make it into a 100 days program. And we have certain targets to work on with. And we started refining that program little by little by little. And it has grown to the 11th season right now. And I learned to understand the technology a little bit, working with cameras a little bit. I still hold on to that little bit. That I'm not camera shy anymore. But through that, we understood the power of visual media today. So I formed the next vision. Okay, using technology, if you can impact 10 million lives, that would be a big number to achieve, because I'm nowhere close to 10 million right now, by the way. I'm not saying 10 million subscribers.
Yeah.
10 million people's lives have to change
Right.
by what I believe is true. And what I've seen is true in the life of plenty of people through my 21 years of experience. If we can take it to a larger audience, and technology enables us to take it to a larger audience, then why not be instrumental about that?
Excellent.
So there is a person who's working along with me in this vision of taking this Fitmasters to 10 million people. It's still encapsulating, by the way. We are envisioning it. It's in conception, inception, and production is going on, but it's not come to the world yet. But I'm sure we will reach what the desire God gave us in our heart to do it to people. I'm sure we will reach them without a problem.
Good luck to you. I mean, I'm sure you're going to touch much more than 10 million actually.
Yes, when we reach there, we'll change the numbers.
You also are one of those people. So if you tell people to do something, you have to do it and then show it to them. You believe in role modelism.
Yes. So
how does that look like in your life?
I told you, I grew up through exercises.
Right.
So for me to do that was never a problem. So as long as my enterprise was a one-man show, things went very smoothly. But now then things started growing bigger. You need to involve people, and people need to believe that there is something called as role modelism.
Yeah.
That's when I started noticing that I had some obstacles, because not everybody need to have the same belief system. In my profession, many of them still believe that we have got a degree which enables us to treat people, teach exercises. That should do everything. I will agree with that only 20%. A degree is required for you to enter the market. But into this field of exercise, you cannot have a say on anything without you being that first model.
Makes sense.
So when we started recruiting people, we put hard terms and conditions that you should exercise. Wherever you're exercising, you should have a track record. We should know the track record of it. Okay? And we should see that evident in you. And whatever we're teaching as exercise, you should be the first person, should be able to do that. You cannot teach something to somebody when you cannot do it by yourself.
Okay.
Now, this brought the entry inside our organization to very, very, very small initially. Nobody was willing for that because it was hard. And we had a gym earlier. So after the staff's working hours are over, they have to exercise there. And that was under CCTV camera. We can monitor that. So many of them felt pressurized because they have not bought into the concept of role modelism. So it was a pressure. It's a management pressure that we have to do something. So people would quit very easily. We were not able to retain people. Things were growing, but people were not. So I started questioning my belief system. Should I limit that to just me and keep others okay the way they are? But then I was not convinced by that. No. Whoever are there with me, they should reflect the same belief system of what I believe. Because I don't believe in one-man worship system. No. Concept might be mine, but people can develop, grow, and make it theirs also. I'm open for that, by the way. And that changes their lives, and then their lives are changed. Like my life is changed because of exercises. And today, because my life is changed, I'm changing the life of many people, right? Such is my belief into role modelism.
Okay.
But we did really find that as a struggling thing when we started recruiting people. But then we decided to stick on to that. No problem. Whatever it might be, we stick on to these core values. And eventually we started seeing people who agree to those things also. So today it's not a big deal, by the way. There are people who come for that. Staff, fellow professionals come for that. They believe that. But it was not so easy when we started things. There was a huge conflict that why should we really be fit for teaching somebody else exercise? We anyway know exercise. We are qualified for that. We got a degree. And when I would say, yeah, degree helps you, but if you are not fit enough to do things, nobody's going to believe you. And when they don't believe you, you have not given your concept to them at all.
Yeah.
So I still hold on to that it is you who's going to change the world. I can impact the life of 10 people who are in front of me. But these 10 people have got the potential to impact 100 other people who I would never even see in my lifetime. But that first wave starts from you.
Yeah.
starts from me. And if we don't do that properly, the wave does not continue.
Right.
But once we do that thoroughly for the person who is in front of us, that wave goes like a ripple effect.
Yeah. Kudos to you for holding that value.
Oh, thank you, Rick.
It's a beautiful system, you know. Unless you do it, why would someone believe in you?
Exactly.
So if there is somebody, let's say, I'll not say coach potato, I have sedentary lifestyle, let's say. I want to get started and buy to the concept that movement is medicine. So what should I do?
See, exercise is a habit. Okay. And it's a habit and it's an attitude.
Okay.
Okay. To build a habit is where the struggle for the human mind is, because habit needs discipline.
Yeah.
Right? Believe me, our body, our mind does not want discipline. It wants to just do what it wants to do, and, you know, slack around here and there. It does not like order, system, and discipline. It just does not like that. But training that monkey mind only is our job. You leave it like that, it is a monkey mind forever. And there will be a point that everybody will reach and they look back with regrets. Had I done this when I was in my 20s, things would have been different by now. Had I done this little earlier in life, I might not have suffered this much. Hence, training this mind is a very big thing. And exercise is very, very simple to train the mind. You just have to show up. So the entry level for anybody to make a habit is start something which is very much doable. That's why for beginners, I'm not very judgmental on them. You want to walk daily for 30 minutes? Walk. But walk daily. Okay, show up that day. Irrespective of whether you feel like, you don't feel like, your body is aching, it's not aching, there's no friends today to come along with you, just show up. Just go there and do it. Start something which is very much doable. And whatever the doable might be. It can be even walking around your table. During COVID, I have seen videos of people running marathons around their chairs and tables and cars. Right? So you start need not be very great somewhere else. Start somewhere else. As long as you started, it's good. Once you start, be consistent. Once you're started and once you're consistent, you will know that the activity which you have chosen, eventually you can only outsmart that activity. Now walking is no more a thrill for you because you know how to walk. You can walk longer also. It doesn't feel that great. I can anyway accomplish it. Okay? Then you will start upgrading things. And that is called as exercise. The journey is progressive and it is upgradative. That's why I say, irrespective of the fact that you grow older, you will never be worse than the previous year.
Yeah.
You will always be better than where you were and from where you started.
You're a DPT. You're a runner as well. So many runners get injured. Unlike people who lift, runners gets injured quite a lot. So what are those maybe 3 to 5 things that I should do as a runner to, I would not say prevent injury, but to reduce the injury?
You're asking specifically about running.
Yeah.
I always say that getting injured is not a medal in your hanger. Okay. There's no glory in saying that I've got all these injuries. Okay. But that's how we all learn. We all learn through injuries, our own experience of injuries, others' experience of injuries. We are bound to get overboard. Okay. How much ever I am a professional and I give professional advice about how not to get overboard, I've also been overboard many times. Once I step into that shoe of being a runner, being a cyclist, being a martial artist, I become that personality.
Right.
And sometimes, see, there are so many governing factors in your body. You fall for one without your knowledge. Now, wisdom is to not fall, by the way. Okay. That is where you have to guide yourself. However, let me be honest and open that I have fallen for it multiple times. So many of my injuries which I've gone through is not because I was unfortunate to get that. Somewhere there was an element of stupidity. Somewhere there was an element of overconfidence. And somewhere there was that element of Superman. You know, Superman can never get injured. I've been through all those.
Yeah.
I've been in all these places. And somewhere when the fourth thing is, when you see that you're bettered the scales like this, you also think that you will always be like that. And you cannot accept it down. And when it is down, your standards are now different. You get pressurized. Like when I started to run, it was just about running. Run for the happiness of running. Once I started noticing that speed is increasing, something called personal best is happening. Right? Compared to others, you are better because of the timing. That bug bit me also. And you started noticing that I'm faster. Now, when an injury comes, there is no patience to, go through the process of slowly building up. You want to beat that time which you created. So nobody else is pressurizing you. It's your own ego pressurizing you, man. You are that. You better be there or you don't be there only. So that is where you encounter your own ego to fight through that. And if you are man enough to polish yourself, humble yourself, no, it's an injury. You created that injury for yourself. Accept the fact. Now work your way through that and never repeat the same thing. If that lesson you are very, very clear with, there is a lot you can learn through injuries. Okay? But again, injuries are not something which I want anybody to go through. There is always a science behind it. And there is also a lot of overboarding also out there. Very few injuries happen because somebody was unfortunate.
Right.
Most of the injuries are well under our controllable limits. So as a runner, if you want to minimize injuries and if you want to maximize your efficiency as a runner, there are so many basics which you have to be very, very careful about. Number one, understand what is running. Running is a sport. Running is an endurance-based sport.
Right.
What happens to you when you involve in an endurance-based sport? You develop endurance or stamina as an effect, and as an ill effect, you lose a lot of muscles. When you lose muscles, you lose strength. You lose flexibility. You lose mobility. You lose flexibility. So understand what you're gaining and what you're losing. You're gaining one thing, you're losing quite a lot of things. So can we say don't run? No.
Can't say that.
You need to understand what you're losing. There are a lot of things which you're losing. If you can make good for what you're losing in multiple times than what you're really losing, then you are in the win game. We can't put a number here, but let's say I'm losing 5, whatever unit it is, 5 of my strength, stability, flexibility. If I'm going to earn 10 of it, then I can afford to lose 5, right?
Right.
So that's what I mean. You have to earn more than what you're losing. So the first step to not get injured through running is keep your fitness training, which is strength, stability, flexibility, mobility. These trainings way higher than your run rate.
Okay.
Okay. And believe me, to run, there's a lot of high. But to sit down and do 5 push-ups, it hurts everywhere. There is no drive. There is no exercisers high out there. So you don't have the motivation to really do that. But understand those are essentials which you need to keep your running injury-free. That's point number 1. Understand your sport very, very clearly. Second, prioritize your fitness training in more volume than your running. If you're going to run 2 days or 3 days, your strength training should be more than that.
Okay.
If you can afford 5 days or 4 days, then only you can run 2 or 3 days.
What if I'm running 6 days?
If you're running 6 days, it's very difficult to gain that much strength. Okay? It's very difficult to gain that much strength. You will progressively be on the loss. Unless you do weight training in the morning and then run in the evening. Somewhat you can balance, but however, the body still goes for overtraining. Because to recover from 2 different activities with just an 8 hours of sleep and food is not going to be that successful all the time. There are people who still manage to do that. I know people who run 6 days, 7 days, by the way. Not every, but I cannot set that as a norm for everyone. No, it works for certain people, no doubt about it. I've seen that. I've seen people who do only running. They don't stretch, they don't strength train, they don't mobilize.
Yeah, we can't take that as a template.
But that's an exceptions. We cannot make them examples.
Right.
Okay, we need to look at the general public. If you want to make it safe for them, train your body harder to endure the run.
Got it.
You do not train by running for running. You have to train your body to be fit for running. That's the first and foremost thing. Second thing is rest and adequate recovery. Running requires a lot of recovery time. It's not like other sports, a full impact sport. The amount of impact which you are throwing through your body is quite humongous. If you're a 70 kilograms person, multiply that by 5 to 6 times. That much level of impact is running through your major joints, bones, ligaments, and muscles, especially the spine, hip, knees, and ankles. Do you have strength to tolerate that much amount of load? Naturally, no. You have to train to tolerate that. And when you train, you also need recovery phases. So your training cannot be a graph like that. It cannot be a graph like this also. It should not be a graph like this also.
Okay.
Okay? It should have seasons where you go up and it should have seasons where you come down also. Now, when you come down, only a lot of ego beats with you. And I've gone through that phase. Full marathon runner, I don't respect 10K running. You got my point? That's the ego part of me.
Right.
For me, any given day, it is just 10K. Only when I got to certain injuries and I realized, boss, even 1 mile is now a big challenge for you. So the call comes, should I run 1 mile or should I just shut up? And I realized certain days the egos are too high that I do not even run because I know I can't run 1 mile. And my mind says your minimum was 10. So I had to bend that ego to, say, no, right now even 1 mile is good. Get started. 1 mile will become 2, 2 will become 3. You will again come back to 10, 21 and 42. To bend that ego sometimes is not possible.
Yeah.
But you will be humbled to do that when you get into injuries.
Nice.
Okay. So adequate recovery times has to be there. And recovery is not just doing nothing. Your training volume adjustment is called recovery. So training up, yes, 1 season. Training down, 2 seasons. We call this macro cycle and micro cycle. You have to have a combination of these cycles in your training. Then only your training becomes beneficial. It becomes injury free.
Yeah.
Okay. Third is nutrition. I'm not going to talk too much about nutrition because I'm not a nutritionist. Okay. Nutrition plays a very, very important role. You need to fuel yourself as much as possible, 100% naturally, rather than running behind something else. That's my belief system. How long I run or how much ever fast I run, I still believe that your home foods are more than enough to complement you. I personally don't believe taking other things because you have to be better. No, not really required. Okay. And you can differ with that opinion. No problem about that. So your nutrition is very, very, very important. Fourth is your sleep. You cannot outrun your sleep because there's no replacement for sleep. Okay. For a disciplined exerciser, you have to plan your next day properly. You fail to plan, you are then planning to fail. So plan your evenings, nights accordingly that you got a good sleep because we are not just recovering from running. We run an office, we run a family. There are kids around, by the way. There are many sources which deplete our energy. So everything gets recovered only by a proper sleep. So a proper sleep is very, very essential to not getting injured. There's something called as deep tissue massage, which is a little hard format of massage.
Yeah.
I strongly recommend that for runners once in a while. Okay, maybe once in a month or once in 3 weeks or once in 2 weeks. I strongly recommend that for exercising folks. Okay, especially runners. It's good to have that because it minimizes injuries to a very great extent. It neutralizes the muscle tension. It softens the muscles, by the way. It helps the muscles to recover faster, but it's not a quick fix.
Got it.
Okay, don't look at these things as quick fix. These are things which you have to organically inculcate as part of your calendar. A good smart exerciser means nothing but having an organized calendar in his life. That 1 hour, 2 hours what you spend for your fitness should get the other parts of your life organized.
Got it.
Okay,
So 5 things you talked about. So you said you have to train for strength, flexibility, mobility,
Exactly.
and then polarized training cycles. If there is a up
Yes.
cycle, then there should be a
there
down
should be a
cycle.
down cycle. So you should have macro cycles, you should have micro cycles.
Micro cycles.
Third is nutrition.
Nutrition,
Fourth is sleep.
sleep.
And the fifth is deep tissue massage.
Got it. Okay, so there is this saying, most of the time I hear this, listen to your body. How do I listen to my body?
Wow. That's a very tricky question. Okay. Because we end up listening to our body what we want to listen. We are not people who always listen to the exact signals. But as a matured exerciser, you should master this art of listening to the body. Okay. I told you the body and mind is basically lazy.
Right.
It does not want to do something which is disciplined. Though I've been exercising for 25 days, every day morning I wake up with the thought saying that why today and why not tomorrow? I have to beat that thought down. It is a habit now for me to exercise. It is my discipline.
Yeah.
But that does not mean that everything inside me agree with me. There is still one part which is still trying its luck. Every day one, at least today we can overcome this guy.
Right.
I have to beat that thought before I get out of my bed. Okay. So what will the body give me signals? A lot of aches in my body. Very, very painful. feelings in different parts, especially the muscles which I worked out the previous day. But I always realize the moment I get off the bed, start going about daily activities, okay, brushing your teeth, toileting, drinking water, moving around, 98% of the signals are already gone by.
Right.
Okay. Sometimes after that also there is a dip. No, today energy does not really feel good. Maybe yesterday's sleep was not good enough. I slept for 9 hours, but I was maybe disturbed in my thoughts too much. Okay. That maturity, you have to put an effort to learn it. Okay. See, ego always builds up. As I told you, when I was into full marathon running, 10 was my minimum standard. But it was many injuries which forced me to come below that. Right? So, in that phase, to overcome that and go to the next level was not always easy. Mind will want to say, forget it for now, man. We'll do it some other day. Some other day will be better than today. Tomorrow is definitely unsure.
Yeah.
What you have in hand is right now is the present. So always emphasize to get on to the present. So that you need to tune yourself to listen. How does my body feel when you are running? How much is my sweating? Today, how sunny it is or how cool it is. For this cool, how much am I hydrating myself? How much does my body require? All these data points are very, very important. Your Garmin watch will not give you that.
Yeah.
It is your personal thing. I've seen people who run the same 5 kilometers. They don't sweat at all. They don't even have to drink a sip of water. But I've seen people in 1 mile itself, they're profusely sweating. Right? So different people's body works differently. You have to pay attention to all these signals. Okay? I would even go one step deeper and say, even notice your urine color followed by that. That gives you a lot of things. How much you have dehydrated after the run.
Right.
Or how much you have hydrated yourself through the run.
Right.
When I used to do ultra marathons and all, just a few years back, color of urine was an important indicator.
Right.
To understand whether are you starting to dehydrate or not, and frequency of passing urine. All these things matters. You need to capture these things very clear. How does the body feel when the day begins? How does your body feel after every 10 minutes of warm-up which you do? Okay. How was it compared to last year? Based on the weather, based on the food. Because heavier food if you have during night, even if the digestion is slowed down, morning your energy level is gone. It will not be up to the mark. Now, these data points are not purely from the book. It is from your own signals. And you need to learn to somewhere be receptive to this rather than opposing them in the name of discipline. There is only thin line of difference between discipline and addiction. Very, 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 very thin line. Many people are addicted in the name of discipline. And many people talk about discipline, but they're actually addicted. So that thin line is where you should find out. And some wisdom and maturity gives you that understanding. Yeah. So that's the reason I always encourage people when you're exercising, listen to what your body says. Don't put a headphone, don't listen to music, don't distract yourself with some videos. That is the time which you're spending with yourself. All your five senses, your antennas and radars should be receptive towards your signals. Then you learn a lot about how your body functions.
Sorry, saying that thin line between addiction and discipline is the listening to your body.
Is listening to your body. It's a very, 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 very thin line.
Okay.
Very thin line.
Got it. Such a wonderful thought.
Thank you.
So thank you, doctor. I thought, we'll discuss about exercise science, but there was a lot of information and wisdom about building mental fitness and a lot of value system that you need to build in. So it was full of wisdom. I thought we will create a story of your life, but this is story plus a lot of wisdom that we can imbibe in our daily life. So maybe we should do another podcast where we talk about the wisdom that is there here. We should bring it out.
Definitely.
Thank you very much for coming from another
pleasure.
city to our city, which is South Bangalore to North Bangalore.